WOAT NBA player.
Rudy Gobert.
Oh my God! I knew he was gonna say Rudy Gobert. I'm sorry to Rudy Gobert.
No, because I'm gonna tell you what. If you sign a contract for $250, show me $250. I played for my 120. So you got guys like him that the system over. They're making all this money and they can't play.
In case you're still trying to wrap your head around who Shaquille O'Neal was talking about with such disgust in their voice, well, yeah, it is the one and only Rudy Gobert, the one-time NBA rebound leader, the three-time NBA All-Star, the four times NBA Defensive Player of the Year, and the player who's been named to the NBA All-Defensive Team a whopping 7 times. We are talking about a player who has led the French national team to multiple World Cup championships and even won the French Player of the Year, among other national team honors. Yeah, that's who. But then
he was an all-star, which means
I think he could do more. But I think
I have to go through the list. I like Bam, so I'm not going to rush on this answer. Hell of a player.
why is Big Shaq so remorselessly having a dig at Rudy Gobert as if he's some rookie who's failed to capitalize on their opportunity in the NBA? He's not even holding back one bit.
I mean, it's one thing to take Rudy out of the greatest defensive player debate, but then to name the Timberwolves superstar as the worst player of all time, that's got to be plain disrespect, right? But what could Gobert have done to warrant such ludicrous comments from the legendary Shaquille? Could it be that the two already have a subtle beef going on, or is the NBA Hall of Famer really on to something with these remarks? Well, we're about to find out in this video. But before we get right in, quickly hit the subscribe icon for more exclusive gist and hot takes like this one. Ready? Then let's get rolling. So folks, we've already established that Rudy Gobert as an NBA star needs absolutely no introduction at all, at least not after his incredible dominance displayed over the past decade. However, here is something you may not know, and perhaps that's what has prompted Shaq's insane remarks. You see,
the way I'll say this, there's
but
24
you're right.
All-Stars.
He could do more.
So
He could do more. He can do more.
I just think he could do more. Bam's a hell of a defender. I think that's his claim right now.
back in the 2022 to 2023 season, the Timberwolves offered Gobert a new 4-year contract worth $205 million, with an option of a 5th-year extension that could see the ridiculous figure rise to stupendous $250 million. With Gobert's new paycheck, he's ultimately become one of the highest-paid players in the league, earning significantly more than other big-name players such as Kyrie Irving, Markkanen, Morant, and Halliburton. But of course, while a $45 million per year contract may sound outrageous, it really isn't that extravagant when you consider just how big a star Gobert had become in the NBA. Also, we've seen time and time again that the only way to keep superstars like Rudy is to splash the cash, and that's probably why it didn't raise too many eyebrows back then. But then, when you are a top earner in the league, you gotta expect the attention that comes with it, right? Oh, and you definitely gotta put on a hell of a performance too. And that may just be where the superstar has failed to live up to the bidding. You see, it's already clear what Gobert brings to the table for any franchise.
I think he has more of an offensive package than what he's showing.
I want to ask both of you this. Should MVP honors be based on what you do as an individual or what your team does?
Like, is this something that the players truly know?
You know what I would like? I would like if this thing of ours was ran by us.
And we've even seen him make a difference here in Minnesota on many occasions with his superhero-like defending. However, a massive drop in form from the veteran left fans and pundits questioning if he's really worthy of such a gigantic paycheck, especially since it seems to be taking its toll on the Timberwolves account books. I mean, with Karl Anthony Towns also earning close to $50 million per year, and the young sensation, Anthony Edwards, earning north of $35 million himself, you can see how the franchise may be suffering financially. However, of these three heavy earners, Rudy seems to be the only one getting the sticks for his performance. So, could it really be that he's the only one not deserving of his big paycheck? Well, firstly, saying the superstar doesn't deserve to be among the highest earners in the NBA may be a tad too harsh considering the caliber of player he is. I mean, he's certainly up there among the top NBA stars of the past decade. However, it wouldn't be a wild claim to say that he hasn't really earned his pay in the Timberwolves colors. And even that may just be down to a couple of obvious factors. You see, when the Timberwolves went all in to secure the signature of the then 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and reigning rebound leader, the rave was on a different level. The feeling around Minnesota was that they got a solid pillar to fix their defensive patches once and for all. After all, that's one thing Gobert did perfectly during his 9-year stint with the Utah Jazz. So, yeah, the expectations were as high as they could ever be.
which is why no one really questioned the Timberwolves' decision to splash the cash and make Rudy the second highest paid player in the franchise. Heck, the Minnesota fans even celebrated the efforts to keep their new superstar on lock, the man who has come to be known as the Stifle Tower. However, as the popular saying goes, what you see is not always what you get, and the Timberwolves would come to learn this lesson the hard way. By the way, before we continue, here's a small favor you can quickly do for us. If you like this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to help this channel grow. This will make a huge difference to us, and in doing so, we can continue creating more new and exciting content for you guys. Done that? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to Gobert and his big fat paycheck. Of course, the then 30-year-old was evidently far from finished when he made his move to Minnesota. But if the Timberwolves had hoped for an immediate repeat of Rudy's heroics with the Utah Jazz, they were in for what's quite possibly one of the biggest disappointments in franchise history. The sort that has prompted Shaq O'Neal to even call him the worst of all time. Crazy, right? I mean, come on. How bad could his decline have been? Well, let's just say it wasn't the best of times for the veteran. Now, I know the stats don't really tell a terrible tale for Rudy, and the uniformed observer may not be keen to agree that a player who is fresh off winning yet another NBA Defensive Player of the Year really suffered a significant dip in form. But hey, no matter how hard you try to make excuses for the Frenchman, there's just no sugarcoating the fact that for a brief moment there, Gobert was really an absolute shadow of himself. So how bad has he really been? Well, for starters, Rudy has always been one player whose effect is never not felt on the court, the kind that leaves you spellbound with each show-stopping block, defense-splitting pass, or game-saving rebound. That's why it was so obvious when his game began to decline. But more than that, his numbers in Minnesota told a different story from the legend that all of the NBA had come to know, and it wasn't even close. That season, every aspect of his game took a hit, but none more than his block percentage. His blocks per game dropped from the 2.1 he recorded in his last season at Utah to a mere 1.4, with his block percentage reaching a career low of 3.9%. His rebounding didn't leave much to be desired either, dropping from 14.7 to a meager 11.6. And of course, his low numbers affected the team heavily. It also didn't help that Towns was out injured for most of the season, leaving the team to rely heavily on an out-of-form Gobert. Oh. And it was almost a nightmare for Timberwolves fans who couldn't tell the difference between their superstar signing and a rookie struggling to navigate the intricacies of the NBA. In the veteran's defense, though, much of his abysmal form in the 2022 to 2023 season can be attributed to his lack of chemistry with the rest of the team and a recurring ankle injury that sort of disrupted his rhythm. But overall, that season remains the worst of Gobert we've seen so far, and fortunately for the Timberwolves, the superstar is already showing signs of an incredible comeback. Heck, he already demonstrated what could only be a monster mentality as he put up incredible numbers once again to help the team to a playoff finish last season. He also clinched another Defensive Player of the Year, for good measure, winning the award for a joint record fourth time. And well, that just goes to show that while form may be temporal, class is permanent, and the best players will always find their way back to the top. So, folks, even though Shaq did hit some vital points in his interview about Gobert, he seems to have been very wrong to call superstar Rudy the worst player of all time. Of course, Rudy Gobert is still not back to his best self, and to be honest, the now 32-year-old may never reach the heights he boasted during his Utah days, but the signs are encouraging, and with that, the Timberwolves can yet dream of seeing their defensive maestro put up another all-star performance as they hope to better their last season's playoff run. Oh, and in case you were wondering, Rudy did reply to the Hall of Famer's bashful remark via X, where he was quoted saying, "It is sad to see someone that has accomplished as much as you did, Shaq, both in sport and business, still be triggered by another man's finances and accomplishments. I get the entertainment part, but unlike other folks, you don't need that stuff to stay relevant." I guess we can say he has talked the talk, and it's left to be seen if he can walk the walk one more time as we gear up towards the 2024-2025 season. Do you think Shaq was right in his assessment of Rudy? Or has the reigning Defensive Player of the Year shown enough to vindicate himself? Do let us know in the comments below, and also share this video to your friends for their thoughts too.